started to make our agency a little bit more and more marketing focused and less creative focus. And it was because the very first client that we had hired, this is a good piece of advice for everybody too. When I was in there and we landed this deal, this is kind of a funny story too. We go and we land this deal, and we had broken out the proposal in like a bunch of $3,500 bites, right? Like $3,500 for this, $5,000 for this, $2,000 for this. And with my business partner, and we did our whole presentation. They said, okay, let us go into our office. We'll come back to you guys in a minute. So they did. They called us into their office and they said, okay, we want to get started with you. And I said, well, what do you guys want to do? And they're like, we want to get going with you guys. I go, I know, but which of these services? And then my partner kicks me underneath the desk, and I look over at him, and he's like, yeah, this is great. We'll get started. What I didn't realize in the time was that they had said yes to this $86,000. The whole thing was $86,000, and they said yes to it. And I thought they were just saying yes to like a $3,500, like one of the projects that we had listed. They said yes to the whole freaking thing. And I'm like, what? Like, no way. And as we're leaving, the CEO looks at me and says, look, we've worked with a few agencies in the past. Can I give you some advice? And I said, sure. He's like, this is literally all I ask of you guys. He goes, you're not going to be right. You're going to make mistakes, but just do me a favor and fail fast. Fail fast. And I said, that's absolutely like what we'll do. And that was such good advice. He really opened it up for us to fail and knew that we're going to make mistakes. Marketing, we don't know why someone's going to buy, or they will or they won't buy. No one knows why someone will or won't buy. We all think we do. We want to try to figure it out, but at the end of the day, we really never will know. And so we're making these educated guesses with what we're writing our copy for and what audiences we're targeting on these different platforms. And if we're wrong, be wrong really quickly, accept it and move on. Because if you sit there and try to be right or make yourself right, you can spin your wheels and ultimately aggravating your clients, which is some good advice. So we go on and we started working with this client more and more over the next 3 years. And they actually said, hey, have you heard of this guy named Dan Kennedy? And they said, no, I've never heard of this guy named Dan Kennedy before. And I hadn't. He says, well, this guy charges like 20 grand to go and spend a day with him in Cleveland. We want to fly you guys out and spend the day with Dan Kennedy. We really want you guys to start helping us with the funnels and like our campaigns and stuff like that. So Brian and I flew out to Dan Kennedy's house. We sat in his basement and we worked with the owners of this company and Dan Kennedy to build out this new campaign with him all day long. And it was the single biggest turning point in Strikepoint's history for us to start to like think of things completely different than the way that we were trained, or I should say trained, the way that I was learning things on my own. And the big differences were that I was all about aesthetics, the way things looked and felt, the way that we positioned things aesthetically. And Dan Kennedy was like, that doesn't matter at all. And we kind of got into some debates. And Dan Kennedy, if you guys have never heard of him, of course you guys probably have, but if you haven't, go look him up. He's one of the best direct response marketers of all time. And he's also one of the most brilliant people I've ever met too. He's like a walking Google. He's just knows a ton. He's got a lot of really good history. So we started to get into building these campaigns out and started buying media. And the way that our agency was structured is most of you guys all own agencies here. It's structured, it's all in net 30 terms. So we would go buy the media for people and then they would pay us later. And so we started to build up our company and started bringing on clients. And the worst thing that's happened in my entire professional career took place at the end of 2016. And so this is, like I told you guys, I'm going to talk about the do's and don'ts of building a $35 million agency and the biggest oops I've ever made in my professional career. And this is in the end of 2016. We had one of our clients not pay their $250,000 media buy that they were late on it. They went 30 days. So that's now 60 days for me. Then they went 90 days. So this is starting in the summer. 2 other clients that were on $90,000 also started to default on their payments as well. Because we were late on our payments, we actually missed our Amex payment by 1 day. Amex brought down our credit from $450,000 to a $50,000 credit limit, completely freezing the company. Brian and I didn't know what to do, so we went and got a hard money loan at 16% for $250,000. That wasn't enough. We had to go get another one. So we got 2 hard money loans for $250,000. So now we're $500,000. We're $450,000 in debt with the credit card company, and we're cash flow negative. And we were not watching our books. We weren't paying attention. I didn't understand this part of both of us didn't understand this part of our business. And our 2 partners had bought into the company about 10 months in. And they flew out to come visit with us to talk about our plans for 2017. And we had to go up to LA, and we created this entire proposal. And we had to go and break the news to these investors that said, we are $1 million in debt. And Brian and I hadn't taken a paycheck pretty much the like 6 or 7 months. I was maxed out on all my personal credit cards. My wife went to the grocery store to go buy food, and my debit card wouldn't go through. We were at rock bottom. I mean, it was like do or die. We had enough money for one more cycle of payroll for the next month in January, and that was it. And we didn't know what we were going to do. And so we went and we told our 2 partners about our situation, expecting them to bail us out. Expecting them to say, oh, you guys, like, this is a mess. Here's the money. Let's get the ship, let's write the ship here, and, we'll figure this out. That did not happen. Those 2, their wives were with them, and they excused their wives from the dinner table to proceed to completely annihilate us verbally about what idiots we were, and why in the world would we give anybody more money if they couldn't properly manage the money we've already given them. That we don't double down on losing bets. You guys need to figure this out, or you guys are going to a world of hurt. I can't believe you would personally guarantee these 2 hard money loans. He's like, basically like, you guys are SOL. And so I said, oh my gosh. All right. So we drove back. It was a very somber car ride home, and it was on a Friday. They fly out on Saturday. I called them up on Monday morning, and I said to one of them, I said, what do we do? Like, what do we do? And he gave me some advice. It was very simple, very straightforward. And he said, sell your way out of it. Sell your way out of it. So I said, okay, that's exactly what I'm going to do. It's the week between Christmas and New Year's. Brian and I met up later that day, and we looked down and we looked at our business, and we said, how are we going to do this? We need to sell our way out. How are we going to go and do this? So what we decided to do was change all of the terms of all of our contracts with our clients starting January 1st. And instead of giving everybody terms, people would need to pay us for their media up front. $500,000 to, it doesn't matter what their budget was, $50,000, everybody needed to pay us up front. And when they would ask why, we were going to tell them the truth. We're going to tell them that we had clients that didn't pay us, that we missed our Amex, that our credit card limit got. We were just going to be completely frank with everybody, tell them the truth. And the very first month, we got about 30% of our clients to pay us up front. Then the next month, we got another 2 or 3 clients. By the end of that year, we had 100% of all of our clients paying us up front. By the middle of 2018, we had paid off all of the debt that we had personally and professionally. So it took us 18 months, a year and a half. And we are completely out of debt as a company now. We don't have any debt. We haven't taken any additional debt on other than our credit card stuff that we value our media on. But other than that, we haven't. We completely turned the company around. We initiated profit share for everybody. We did a hiring freeze. We told all of our employees where we're at. And we said, as soon as we get ourselves out of debt, we will initiate profit share. And we've been doing profit share every single quarter now since 2018, so last 4 years, which is pretty amazing. And what we had so like a lot of us here who are maybe running agencies for the very first time, for us as well, there's a whole business side. You have to be an amazing marketer, but you also have to be an amazing businessman or woman too. And that was the big education curve that we went through, is how do I understand our numbers, cash flow, contracts, what do you do when things are really tough? How do you handle like all of the different intricacies of missing, having no funds basically, and having to work with all the different clients. So we went and we stuck it out and we made it to the other side of it. And that lesson that we learned of, it really is perseverance and grit, has been one of the biggest things and transformational things for my life. It's something that I'll never take for granted and will always hold dear to me as a really good experience. When you're working with businesses, and this is like the dirty little truth here, is you have got to be a better marketer of what you do than a doer of what you do. So you need to sell your stuff. Now, does that mean be a crappy marketer? Does that mean be you need to be the best at what you're doing. Everybody here needs to be the absolute best at whatever your service is and the way you run your business. But guess what? Once you become the best at that, you got to be even better at selling it. And if you can't be better at selling it, go hire somebody who can sell it better than you. But it has to be, that salesperson's got to be even better than, and you're like, wow, how is this possible? Like, we have the best agency in the world, but man, this person can sell it even better. And you should have a fat pipeline of opportunities at any given point. Why? If you guys have a really good pipeline of a lot of sales and a lot of businesses that are coming in, you can make better decisions about the deals you do or don't do. I can tell you that most of you have clients you shouldn't have. They're time bandits. They cost you too much money. They're not profitable for you. You've got employees that you shouldn't have. We have stuff that you're paying for, you should be paying for. So there's a lot of that stuff, and we do these things and we keep on these things out of fear. That's at the heart of it all. It's fear. And it's something that I still live with right now. As big of an agency as we have and all this stuff, I'm still living in that. And I need to go and take a step back and be like, okay, and what do I do to make myself feel like, get that energy and that clarity? As I look at my business pipeline, I'll look at the opportunities that come in and say, if everybody left me, every one of my clients left me, so what? Fine. I will go out there and I'll bring in all of these accounts. I'll just aggressively onboard all these guys and I'll keep going. So like having that switch turned on is what you have to do in order for you to go. You have to constantly be out there selling. And that is the hardest part about it. It's a service-based business. How do you then go service these people and be the best at it while you're selling at the exact same time? How do you do that? If anybody knows the answer to that, my email address, just let me know. It's something that is the ugly truth, is that you have to, that just sucks, guys. It is. It's the ugliest part of our business, is that, yes, we have to go out there and sell and do all this other stuff. And it's a really hard thing. And that means that clients are not going to get the services that they should. And that means that clients aren't going to get like the attention that they should. And while you're out there trying to go and get this business, and then while you're trying to be the best at what you do, that pipeline's not growing. So figuring out that balance and creating a structure where you've got a plenty amount of work that's coming in is going to be, it's what I see. That's what I see the difference between like a 3 or 5 person agency and a 50 or 100 person agency, is that they figured that part out. And one more thing, if I have a second, is margin. It is our responsibility to have profit in our business. It is our obligation to have profit in our business. I'm going to drop this in the quote here, another Dan Kennedy quote for you guys, and then I'll end it on this note. Here it is. You have a duty to yourself, to your family, to your investors or partners or shareholders, your lenders, your vendors, and your customers. And that responsibility is to attain the absolute highest and greatest profits possible, so you can stay in business successfully, to honor every commitment to every one of these constituents. Dan Kennedy. I have a fee. Because of I grew up really poor. I had a money problem. I didn't like charging people lots of money. I did so much stuff for free. I gave discounts all over the place. I would grind myself to death to try to deposit more than we could draw in businesses. My agency rate was $75 an hour for 2.5 years. $75 an hour. It is impossible to run a profitable business at $75 an hour. You cannot do it. Not in Orange County, not in Laguna Beach, right? So it is your responsibility. It is your responsibility, only your responsibility in your life to have as much margin profit as absolutely possible. And if you want to feel good about it, be the best at what you do. And you won't feel a shred of guilt because you are providing a tremendous amount of value better than anyone else can. And that margin is what got us to do profit share. It's what got us to continue to grow. We have a 4,000 square foot office in downtown Laguna Beach. I was on the on HGTV's Self-Made Mansions. I bought all that stuff came from having profit in every area of your life. And that's, you want to work out, you want to read more, get margin and be ruthless with that margin. So that you can pay your employees better. I tell them every year when we start off a year, I go, I want to pay you guys more than any other agency can afford to pay you. Then I don't have to worry about them leaving. I don't have to worry about it. That's like one less fear I have because I'm paying top dollar. But I also expect the most from them too. You want top dollar, be the top dog, period. So anyway, that's the last thing I'll leave everybody on is running agencies. Make sure you absolutely set those margins and work backwards from that margin.